Hi everybody, it's Cheryl at Educational Freedom and it's Home Education Awareness Week. Today we're talking with Gemma who home educates her children. So hi Gemma, would you like
Hi.
to tell us a little bit about your children and how you came to home education?
Yep. So we have two boys. They're 10 and 7 now. We've been home educating 5 years this year since the eldest became statutory school age, compulsory school age. Um, he did one term of reception, but home ed was always something that we'd sort of leaned towards, but we thought we'll give it a go and we'll see. And it just wasn't for us. And so we pulled him out after the Christmas, after that term, and just been home edging ever since. The youngest never been to school. We've just carried on as we
What
are.
made you decide to give reception a try?
Peer pressure, honestly, family, just it's what you do. We didn't do nursery or anything like that. He was always with us, and you sort of know, sort of inside what you want to do. But we just, yeah, it was pressure. It was, well, you've got to do it and see what it's like. And we found a school that we didn't mind when we went and looked around the schools, so we thought we'll go and give it a go. But because he wasn't compulsory school age, we sort of didn't. He wasn't there all the time. We sort of pulled him out quite frequently and easily, and it just didn't feel right, and just didn't in the end. But yeah, the reason we tried it was pressure from outside.
So once the children were of age, did you feel any pressure to try to recreate school, or was your brain trying to make you think like a school? Did you need deschooling?
Um, I'm not sure. Maybe just because we were used to sort of doing bits and pieces after school when he was in reception, but because he was so little, it wasn't like there was homework or set lessons that he was doing every day that we sort of felt we had to do. The only thing I felt really that I had to keep doing was phonics, because that's how he'd started learning at school, and it wasn't something that I didn't learn to read that way. So that was more, I felt like, oh, well, that's what everyone's doing, so that's what we should do. But really, it was just a continuation on of what we'd already been doing, just learning through play. So I didn't feel too much pressure to recreate school.
Good. So how do you home educate now? What fills your days?
We have sort of a structured, semi-structured morning, and the afternoons are usually completely child-led, depending on if we've got like a forest group in the morning. So then the afternoon becomes the structured part of the day. We do maths, and we use White Rose worksheets for maths. And then we do various bits and pieces for English, sort of pulling from all over the place. But those are the two main subjects that I make sure that we're doing every single day, because that's what works for us. And then in the other days of the week, we'll do like science on one day. I mean, it happens all the time, but sort of technically, that's the day that we say we're going to do our science stuff, and that's the day we say we're going to do our history stuff. And it might be like an online webinar, and that's why it gets assigned to that day. But then the afternoons are topics and whatever they're interested in. One wants to learn about beekeeping at the minute, so that's taking up quite a lot of their afternoons. And then other than that, it's the learning happens all the time, and we just sort of in and out socializing, or at different. We go to a forest group, we go to playground meetups and things like that.
Do you manage to access sort of museum outings, or do you prefer
Yeah.
quieter family outings, or both?
We're really lucky. We live really, really close to Manchester city centre. We're right on a bus route. So if there is a free museum or gallery within like a 15-mile radius, I think we've been to it, and we've been to it multiple times. We absolutely love taking advantage of things that have like an annual pass. So you pay once and then you can go as many times as you want during the year. It makes it just so much easier to come up with things to do on the day, or to pad out topics. If you think, oh, well, we've already got, we can go there to help with this topic that we're doing. We do like going in term time though, when there's no one else there. That's probably that's what we take advantage of mostly, being able to just zip into the gallery and spend as long as you want, just looking at the bits that you want to, without it being busy and other people being there.
Yeah, and it was the same when mine were younger. We'd go to a venue and you could tell who the home ed kids were. But yeah, we accidentally would sometimes go during a school holiday, and it's a different environment,
Yeah, absolutely.
very much so. So what kind of things do you think your children have been able to experience that they wouldn't have done if they'd have been in school?
Definitely the outings, the galleries, the museums. There isn't enough time in school holidays and weekends to cram all of that in, I don't think. And so everyone's tired and everyone's working. So definitely things like that, just being able to say, you're interested in this topic. I found somewhere, within a half hour's drive. Let's go and let's find out about it and let's do some more about it. And just the real life experience of day-to-day life of being here when a plumber has to come round. And so we have to interact with them or having to go to the shops or things like that that you sort of maybe wouldn't get to experience. And having the family all the time, being in that family unit. So they see dad works from home, so they see what dad's doing all the time. They're getting to spend more time with us than they ever would if they were at school. I think that's probably the main thing for us, that we know what they're learning, we know what they're interested in. They can trust that we're going to help to facilitate that learning and be interested in what they're doing.
Yeah. What do you think the future holds for the children? Do you think school could ever be on the cards, or do you think home education all the way?
I think probably home education all the way as it stands at the minute. I can't see any reason why we would change what we're doing. It works so well for us. The kids are absolutely thriving and flying, and we tend not to go by school age ranges and things like that. But with maths and English, it's difficult not to, because it's all the worksheets are geared up that way. But just with that one-to-one, and with that being able to go and practice as many times as you need to, they're just enjoying the work that they would be doing at school and just thriving through it. And I can't see how taking them out of that and putting them into a school environment would be as good or an improvement for them, particularly for us.
Yeah. So if you were to talk with another family whose children were not of compulsory school age yet, and they were weighing up their options whether to try school or whether to go give home ed a go, what would you say to them?
I'd say go with your gut, because when you're standing in that open day for a school and looking around at all those little kids, and you just get that there's just that feeling that you just don't want to, but you feel like you're pushed into it. Just go with your gut. You
Yeah.
can always change your mind later. You can always think, actually, we should have done school. And I think that's possibly less harmful than having all the upset of a parent and a child who don't want the school environment, pushing themselves through it and then stopping. I think it's much better to do it the other way around. I wish I'd done it the other way around, tried home ed first, and
Yeah.
then I could
No,
always do something later.
completely agree. It's easier to catch up in school if home ed's not been following the curriculum than it is to recover mentally, and that school type approach to try school first and then deregister and try home ed. And it doesn't have to be forever, like you said. Um, I think that's important, trusting your gut, that school doesn't
Yeah,
have to have failed to choose home education. You can just do it. You don't have
absolutely.
to
The
have
school
tried
he was
it.
at, yeah, the school he was at was lovely. The teachers and TAs and everything were lovely, but he was just, even at 5, you could see he was just shrinking a little bit from being in that environment. It just wasn't for us.
Yeah.
But it might be for others, but yeah. I wouldn't say home ed's the way for everybody, but definitely go
No.
with your gut.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic advice. So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your home ed? Is there anything exciting been happening lately? Have the kids done something
They've
amazing?
just actually both this week just completed their Explore Arts Award, which they've been
Fantastic.
working towards. They did the Discovery one late last year, and then they both decided they wanted to do the Explore one. And even that, they're different ages, and there's a big difference between 7 and 3, 7 and 10. But they've been able to work together towards the same certification for the award. Even though there is that big age difference, you wouldn't find that happening in a school. and they've worked together and created some really brilliant art pieces. So they're really pleased with themselves and they're waiting for their certificates to arrive at the minute.
It's fantastic. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us. We're hoping to do a catch up next year if you fancy it, and share how everybody's doing for Homemade Awareness Week next year.
Brilliant.
But yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.